Welcome back to another episode of STEM in Stilettos. This is your host, Zofia Morales, and I am here today to discuss from aesthetic to asset, making your brand work for your bottom line. Our guest today is Asia Dore. She's a brand strategist and creative powerhouse, and the mind Asia Dore, a brand strategist, creative powerhouse, and the mind behind the strategy Audacity method. Asia's on a mission to demystify branding and help entrepreneurs harness their full potential to grow bold, profitable businesses. Since pivoting from photography to brand strategy in 2014, I did not correct that. Since pivoting from photography to brand strategy in 2020, she's helped hundreds of business owners stand out and scale with confidence. Asia lives on Lake Michigan with her partner Johnny and their rescue pup Tamale. And while she may lack a sense of direction or danger, she makes up for it with a fearless sense of adventure. Welcome, Asia. I'm so happy to have you here with us.
Thanks, Sophia. I'm really excited to be here. And I have to be honest, I am not wearing stilettos right now. I'm definitely in slippers. Hope that's okay. Hope I'm still qualified to be here.
You are. I kicked off my stilettos a while ago and I am in my unicorn slippers. So
perfect. We're on the same page.
We're matching. It's the new Zoom wardrobe.
Yes, exactly. The dress code. Yep.
Absolutely. So let's start with the basics. A lot of people, when they think about brand, they think about like their logo and their business cards and the shiny stuff that kind of goes around their business. Tell us, in your definition, your understanding, what is brand, what is branding, and what does it do for a business owner?
I mean, the visuals are a very important part of a brand. So I don't want to discredit the visuals. Like, graphic designers are amazing. The visual part is important. The thing is, though, the other foundational parts of a brand have to come first. You can't represent a brand visually if you don't understand it emotionally. So a brand, in its most simplest form, is really just your reputation. It is what people think about you. It's what comes to mind when they hear your name. It's how they feel about you. It's the little spot that you take up in their brain. And while your brand is built by you, it's not for you. It's for your ideal client. They're the ones who are determining what your brand is, which might seem a little scary because it's like, isn't that just completely out of my control then? Like, I can't control what other people think about me. But that's where your brand strategy comes in. Your brand strategy is what bridges the gap between what you want your brand to be and what it actually is, how you want people to perceive you and how they actually do. And it's not about putting out a bunch of propaganda. It's not about manipulating perceptions. It's not about lying to people until you force them to believe what you want them to believe. It's simply about showing up and doing and saying and sharing and creating the things that genuinely make people feel how you want them to feel.
All right. I like that. Now, you came out of photography and ended up in brand strategy. Tell us a little bit about how that went down.
Well, I started my business originally by accident. I'll just start with that. So not only did I not
You're not the first accidental entrepreneur we've had, by the way.
I feel like all the best ones are. I might be biased, but I wasn't a little girl sitting there thinking, oh, when I grow up, I'd really like to be a brand strategist. Nor was I thinking I wanted to be a photographer. I just bought a camera and started posting pictures, and people started asking, how much do you charge for pictures? And a light bulb moment happened, and I was like, oh, this could be like a lucrative thing. I could be my own boss. I could build a business based on something I actually like to do. So that's how I got into entrepreneurship, and I made my way through a few different industries within photography. I ended up at brand photography, and that was super fun for me because I was able to work with other entrepreneurs. So there was like another level of connection I had with my clients. But I realized very quickly that even though these entrepreneurs were brilliant at what they did, they were creating incredible high quality products or a really high level, high value service. When I asked them to explain their brand so we could plan their shoot, they had no idea what to say. They were like, well, I like these colors, but there was no depth there. They didn't know what a brand was. So the brand strategy became an important part of my work as a brand photographer so that I could actually visually represent their brand in a strategic way. And then I realized, you know what? The strategy is actually really fun for me. I think it's almost more fun than the photography. I was a little burnt out of photography at that point. So in 2020, I decided I'm just going to drop the photography and just try out the strategy. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
I love that. It's you followed the breadcrumbs is what I'm hearing. It's like this is
Yes.
what the market needs and this is what I'm good at and I'm just going to keep going down that road, which is
It's a very magical way of putting it. Yeah, I did. I followed my passion and even my curiosity. And I was willing to try stuff that was scary too. You know, to call myself a brand strategist with no formal education, no background in business beyond what I've learned in my own business. But the more I leaned into it, the more I realized that I was saying stuff and sharing ideas that nobody else really was. And that sort of just stoked the fire a little bit more. But yeah, following the breadcrumbs, I think, is really underrated in business.
absolutely because a lot of us, who was it, Mike Tyson, I think, said everybody starts with a plan until they get hit in the face.
Right. Yes. You can't predict stuff. You just
And
can't.
I think a lot of times we start with this amazing shiny plan and then we try to like defend it against the reaction of the marketplace instead of listening to what the marketplace has to tell us and going, oh, well, maybe we can pivot this way or tweak it that way or kind of change who we're targeting to get greater uptake. Where does brand strategy, right? Because we're getting stuff started, we're in startup mode. Where does brand strategy kind of fit in with minimum viable product and making your first few sales? Where does it fit in this whole ecoverse?
It's really important in business to know where you're going. And that can change and it will change.
Yeah,
But to
as we
get
just mentioned.
as we just mentioned. But when it comes to creating things, products, services, when it comes to making decisions and making our choices along our path to success, whatever that looks like, it helps so much to have a direction in mind, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, sure, you're making progress, you're taking steps, you're technically moving, but towards what? So that's one of the most powerful things about a brand strategy is it gives you a really clear picture of not only where you're going, but also why and how to get there.
Mm.
So when I work with clients in my business, it's important for me to work with people who have already been in business for a while because they've tested some stuff, right?
Yeah.
They've tried some things, they've followed some breadcrumbs, they know kind of what works and what doesn't, and they're ready to get more specific. But if you are brand new or if you are in startup mode, the core foundational aspects of branding still very much apply to you because it gives you a direction. Like I said, even if that direction changes, which means it's going to make the decisions that you make in your business so much more effective and also efficient. You're not just going to be running on a treadmill, you're actually going to be putting feet to pavement and moving forward. So, brand strategy is relevant at all stages in business, and it's something that constantly needs to be revisited, maybe tweaked, maybe changed, maybe not. But when you're just starting out, understanding what it is that you're actually doing or creating, who you're actually creating it for, how you're doing it differently than everybody else, and why any of that matters is crucial no matter what stage of business you're in.
Okay. So, would this be of help to you when you're trying to raise angel funds or VC money or go out and crowdsource your next round of investment? Where does branding fit into that sort of activity?
It's absolutely relevant, not only for you internally, so that you can show up to these investor meetings and say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, this is why it matters, this is why you should care, right? This is where I'm
Right.
going. To have that clarity internally is going to make you feel so much more confident when you show up in front of those people, whether it's an investor or it's just your 25 Instagram followers, right? Having that clarity is going to give you confidence, but it's also going to give the other party confidence in you because they're going to say, oh, okay, well, this person actually knows what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. They know where they're going. And they're also giving me a reason to care about it, to give a shit about it. They're giving me a reason to invest, whether that's my money or my attention or my emotions, right? Whatever it is, I'm interested, I'm intrigued. And when you can get that out of people, when you can intrigue them and pique curiosity, that's so much more effective than just showing up and having really no idea, right? Having no idea. Hey, I'm hoping to get some funding for this business, and I want this business to succeed because I want to make money. Like no one cares about that, right?
Yeah.
Give us a reason to care, and that is so powerful.
Yeah. So your reason to care is built into your brand. Is your ideal customer or your avatar, if you will, also baked into that brand strategy?
It is one of the most important parts of your brand strategy because, like I said, your brand isn't for you, it's for your ideal client. So, if you're going to build a brand for someone, you have to know who they are.
How
And
do we figure that out?
even more in depth than that, though, is you have to know who they want to be. Because when you know who they want to be, their ideal selves, then you can, with logic, say, okay, this is where you are, this is who you are, this is where you want to be, who you want to be. Here's how my product or service helps you get there. Here's how this bridges the gap between those two things. And yes, as far as how to discover who your ideal client is, because everyone hates the ideal client avatar worksheet. Like
Yeah.
everybody hates it.
Oh, totally.
We're
Totally.
done
I
with that.
mean,
We're over it.
even with Chat GPT, it still feels hinky and off. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And like I totally get that. I find that a lot of those worksheets and a lot of those exercises focus a lot on demographics, right?
Mm-hmm.
How old are they? What's their annual income? Where do they shop? Like these sorts of things can be helpful, but demographics are really only helpful in that they inform psychographics. What are they scared of? What are they
Mm,
inspired by? What motivates them? When you can dig more into their psychology, that's really the sweet spot. And again, not just where they're at now, but where they
right.
want to be.
Those hopes
Yes.
and fears and aspirations.
Yes, exactly. The other thing about ideal clients is that a lot of times we think that we're just pulling this stuff out of thin air. Like we're just kind of guessing.
Feels
Like
like it until you've
feels
sold some
like
stuff.
right. The best place that I've found when it comes to figuring out who your ideal client is to start with yourself. Because a lot
Okay.
of times we have been in the same position where our ideal clients are now, but we're a few steps ahead. We have figured some stuff out.
Yeah. It's not
We've,
me now, it's me 5 years ago or whatever. Yeah.
right. And not everything's going to be exactly the same, but it gives you a good starting point because then you're actually thinking about a real person instead of just like making up a random avatar.
Yeah. Susie Q,
Yes. So, or yeah, and because
soccer
a lot of
mom
people
with
do
three
name them.
kids and a van. Yes.
Right. Yes. Let's get a little bit more into the psychology of it.
All right. So, how do we start to dig into the psychology of that? We've thought about ourselves back when we had the problem that we've solved.
Mhm.
What do we start to parse out when we're thinking about that former
Yeah,
self?
I think a lot of it is reflection. And it's, again, it's not just about like, these are the things that I was experiencing then. More, how did we feel? How did that feel? Right. And how did it feel after we figured it out?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
what's great now that was totally not great then? Another good thing to do is market research. And that term used to scare me. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. But market research is really just like asking people questions. Just ask. You can do a poll to your followers on social
Yeah.
media. You can ask someone at the coffee shop that's like they're
Yeah.
reading a
Just go
book
out
that
and
you've
get
also read.
curious.
You
Yes.
can just ask people questions like that's market research. So any kind of data that you were gathering in terms of how people think, go to Reddit and look at old Reddit threads related to your industry. Like what questions are people asking? How are they describing their experience, not just externally, but internally? All of those things are going to come together to help you form your ideal client.
Excellent. We are up on our first break already.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to suggest for break work, I guess it's not really homework, break work, grab your pen, grab your piece of paper, and spend some time thinking about what you have right now as far as a client avatar or ideal client goes. Do you have something that's been kind of laid out? Has it been working for you? Do you not have anything that's been formally laid out? Maybe spend some time around questions you could be asking or a point in your life, that former self, and make some notes around what that self was feeling and struggling with back at that time. And hang with us. We will be right back from the break.
Oh, strike it loud, the world here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales. I am still here with the amazing and wonderful Asia Dore. And we asked you to spend some time around your ideal client. Do you have one? How well has it been fitting? If you don't have one, to start some of that reflection and mining to get some of that information to come forward. So once we have this kind of in a pile, how does this start to inform our brand strategy?
The first thing it does is helps you figure out your content, really, what to say. Because when you know who you're talking to and you know what they want, it's so much easier to just create natural content that actually gets their attention, right? The internet is noisy. We know this. It's just information all the time. It's easy to get discouraged by that. I get discouraged by that, and I'm a brand strategist, so I know how to do all this stuff, right? But when you understand who it is you're talking to, it just makes it so much easier to know exactly what to say to get their attention. It makes it so much easier to craft a message that's actually going to resonate with them. And when you have a core brand message, that's what enables you to show up consistently and frequently. And instead of figuring out, oh, what am I going to say today? I need to say something new.
Yeah.
You're never saying anything new. You're saying the same thing over and over again in new ways. So it feels
other
fresh.
formats from other angles. Yeah, it gives you that
Yes.
conversational starting point, if you will.
Yes. And that's another thing that's going to help people actually care about your brand because you're talking directly to them. So you're going to say, oh, this seems like it's for me. I'm going to pay attention.
Yeah, I love that. So tell us a little bit about the strategy Audacity method that you have worked out. What
Oh my
is
gosh,
this
I would
all
love
about?
to. I would love to. I love this method. I get so excited about it. I mean, I am biased, I guess, because it's mine, but it's been so helpful not only for me within my own business, I'm using it too, but also for my clients. So the strategy Audacity method was forged from the realization, the observation, my own personal experience in building my own brand, that many, many entrepreneurs build their brands in one of two ways. The first way is that they are super strategic. Everything is to a T. They never stray from their brand colors. If anything happens in the world from a political standpoint, unless it's completely on brand for them, they just don't talk about it. Love and light. Let's get back to talking about the stuff that I know, right?
Yeah.
And that can be good, right? Brand strategy is about strategy. So the strategy part is really important. But when you just focus on strategy, you just focus on getting it right and staying within your box, it doesn't leave any room for you to be a human. It doesn't allow for evolution or experimentation or
that spark, that freshness, the passion that ignites people.
Exactly. It doesn't leave any room for that. So that's the first way. The second way that people typically build their brands is by being totally, completely audacious. They are posting whatever they want, whenever they want. They're talking about anything and everything. They're maybe sharing way too much of their personal lives that anyone really wants to know.
Do not tell us about this.
Yeah, and they don't care. They're an open book. They're doing whatever. And this is great because it really gives us a glimpse into them as a person.
It's very authentic. It's very passionate.
Very authentic, very passionate, but then we're missing the strategy, which is what's going to keep us focused on solving the problem that we actually solve with our businesses.
Right.
Right.
Which is how you get the money through the door.
Which is how you get the money. And it's also how you make the impact. I've discovered that you really need equal parts, both strategy and audacity. Maybe not equal parts every single moment of every single day, right? Balance is not a stationary act. We're constantly doing this. But we need to always.
That. I tell people that all the time. It's like walking. It's dynamic. You swing one way, then you swing the other. And
exactly.
As long as you're moving forward, it works out.
Or even like a ballerina who's like on one toe, she's not just staying there. The muscles in her feet are like doing all sorts of stuff, right? So as long as we're always getting back to center, that's the sweet spot. Strategy without audacity is just boring. Nobody's going to care about it. Yet audacity without strategy is just ineffective. It's not going to give you the impact or the profit that you want. So it has to be both.
I love that. I love that. So let's say you have been blessed with an excess of like products and services and solutions you can put out in the marketplace. How do you start to build a brand around that without getting like really disjointed?
Sometimes it's okay to have multiple brands. I'll just say that first. I think a lot of times people try to cram everything under one brand and they don't necessarily need to. On the other hand, a lot of times they are sort of all over the place and we do just need to recenter it. So the thing that I always tell people is that instead of searching for the one thing that makes you unique, the one thing that's going to make you stand out, the one solution even that you provide, it's not about finding the one thing. It's about combining everything in a way that means one thing to your ideal client. So it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. But that's really what we need to do as a service to our audience, is to be really clear about what does this mean for you. When we can do that work for them, when we can do the heavy lifting in terms of figuring it all that out, and before we put it out into the world in our message, it's going to be so much simpler for them to understand and to say yes to, or to say no to. That's fine too, right?
Right, exactly.
But we want to give them a very...
You want that reaction, the yes or the no, not the
exactly.
No, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, the maybe is not where we want to be when it comes to branding. So the easier we can make it for someone to grab their attention and get them to say, this interests me, I want to know more, or I'm buying it right now, or I'm signing up for the mailing list because I want this later, whatever it is, the faster that we can do that for people, the easier we're going to make it for them.
And for us, ultimately, right?
And for us, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. And
put ourselves out of our misery here. There's nothing worse than waiting around for, well, I think they're starting to kind of get the drift of what we're doing here, and we're getting a little bit of no, you want a lot of traction, not a little bit of traction.
Well, sure. And even just like knowing what it is that you're actually doing here. Like, how many people have I talked to where it's like, they're so frustrated by their audience is confused, or they're not taking action, or they're asking all these questions that should be obvious, but it's like
have already really been answered in the material you're putting out, right? Yeah.
Right. But if you are unclear, if you can't tell me what it is you're actually doing here and who you're doing it for and how you do it differently and why it matters, how are other people supposed to know that? So it really is a service to get clarity on these things.
I love that. That's amazing. Is this something that takes a lot of time, Asia Dore?
It depends on how you do it. It can take time, it can take energy, but it does help to work with someone like a brand strategist who can guide you through their process, through their method, in order to get it done more efficiently. So if it's something that you want to do yourself, like literally just go to my blog. Everything you need to build your brand is on my blog. You can find it all there. But if you don't have the time for that,
find the blog in the show notes.
In the show notes. If you want to do it DIY, I love that. I love it because it's going to help you really get a grasp on how it all works. If you don't have time for that, if you're like, no, I have all of the information up here, I just don't know how to articulate it, work with a brand strategist or a coach or a copywriter or whoever it is to help you fill that gap in terms of being able to articulate everything that's in your brain. That's going to go a lot faster too.
Yeah. Well, and I find for myself having a pre-existing structure that I can kind of get into and fill in blanks and push against the edges helps me with my creative process more than like the blank sheet.
Yes, having the guideline or the guidance is so helpful because a blank sheet of paper is like the most intimidating thing in the world.
Yeah. Well, and it's easy to put off that appointment with yourself. I find if I can arrange for the important thing to have an appointment with somebody else attached to it, it gets done.
That's true. Yeah, that little external accountability can be helpful for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what are some ways we can use our branding as a tool? We connecting obviously with our ideal clients, but what else does the brand do for us?
Yeah, it's one thing to have a brand and it's completely another to actually use it. So,
Oh, oh, ow, ow, ow. I that probably hit home for a couple of people. So let's talk about using our brand now that we have the logos and the websites and the business cards.
yeah, not trying to attack anyone personally here, but I do consider myself a no bullshit brand strategist. So maybe a little bit of an attack, but like in a nice way. The first thing that your brand can do for you is, we already talked about this, but it's giving you direction. It's giving you that North Star. I look at my brand strategy guideline probably like once a month because sometimes I just wake up and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like the world is on fire. Many things suck. Like,
Yeah,
people
it's
are
like the
hurting.
expression of your mission statement.
Exactly. It's like,
Graphical, visual, audio expression of your mission.
yes, it's like it's a reminder of what the hell it is that I'm doing here, which can be so helpful because it's not just about, oh, well, I'm interested in brand strategy and I'm passionate about it, therefore people should pay me. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm really trying to make a difference with my business. I'm using my business as a vehicle to impact the world in some way, to change the world in some way. Sounds kind of cliche. I don't care. It's honest, right? I want to make a profit with my business. I also want to change people's lives. So having that reminder of my purpose and my mission, what I'm actually trying to do, is super helpful when it comes to just showing up for my business, even when I kind of wake up and I don't really want to.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is it acts as a filter in terms of you making decisions in your business, in terms of you saying yes to opportunities in your business. When I got an invitation to be on this podcast, it was really easy for me to say yes because I went and listened to the podcast and it aligned with what it is that I'm trying to do in my business. So it was an easy yes. I didn't hem and haw over it. And I didn't say yes just because it was an opportunity. There are plenty of opportunities that I've been able to say no to, plenty of clients that have said no to in terms of I don't think will be a good fit.
And let's talk about that for a minute, right? Because
Sure.
a lot of times when you're starting out, it's like, I'll take a client, any client, right? I need to sell some products. I don't care who I sell them to. Why should we care who those early clients are?
Well, again, this is nuanced. There is a lot of value in saying yes to things just to experiment and get the experience with things. But if you are trying to solve a specific problem in your business and you know the type of person that will do best working with you, it just makes your business so much more efficient because you're not wasting time with people who aren't going to follow through or who think that they want to work with you, but actually they just want you to fix everything for them. And it completely depends on what type of business and what type of product or service you have, right?
Right.
But being able to say no, it frees up space for you to say yes to the opportunities and the people and the experiences that are really aligned, which means your impact, your ripple effect is going to be that much broader. If I work with a person who I know that I am supposed to be working with right now, they're going to actually take what we do together and implement it into their business. It's going to make their business more effective. And the people that they help are going to feel like they can make even more of an impact. So that's what I mean by the ripple effect. And saying no feels counterintuitive, but saying no is like the best way to become known for one thing, because it allows you to say yes to that one thing. You can't say yes to that one thing if you're saying yes to everything else.
Exactly. Well, and I'm thinking about like the startup that has that minimum viable product that they're putting out there. And what you want when you put that initial like burst of product into the world is people who get it, who receive it, who use it, who want to talk about it, who will do reviews on it, who will give you feedback. And if you give one of those to somebody who's not quite the right fit, who's going to like, oh, well, this is nice, and just leave it sitting on the kitchen table, or it doesn't get you what you want. Yeah, you got money, but it didn't get you what you really needed in that moment, which was the multiplication of the experience out into the world for other people to go, oh, well, that might be for me too.
Yes, it's like the efficiency of your exponential impact.
Exactly. And the more you can choose the right people to receive those early services, those early products, the faster you'll be able to refine what it is you're offering and to expand out into the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well
Love
said.
that. So we are up on our second break already. And I would like to invite you, dear listeners, to grab that piece of paper and your pen and spend a little time thinking about the exponentials that you'd like to see happen when you're putting your product out, when you're putting your service out into the world. What do you want that customer experience to be? How do you want them to become raving fans? What does your raving fan look like? And spend a little time around that, and we'll be right back from the break.
Oh, check it out, the world here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us at the break. This is Zofia Morales. I'm still here with the amazing and wonderful Asia Dore. And I asked you to spend a little time over the break thinking about the raving fan, which is really what you want your first clients to become, is raving fans. And what do they look like? What's the experience you want them to have, so that those ripples are big and it's not, oh, well, this is nice and it just sits on the table or in files in your hard drive on the computer. And I guess that kind of brings me back around to branding, right? A lot of times we go through a branding exercise. We've got the ideal client, we've got files that have colors and logos and all that kind of stuff. How do we start deploying these pieces, these assets, in ways that really start to create leverage for us?
So this is where we've talked big picture. We've zoomed out and talked about the impact that you want to make, your mission, your purpose, and then zooming in just a little bit more in terms of your decision-making process, looking for those opportunities that help you expand your business, grow your business, maybe even scale your business if that's on the horizon for you. So if we zoom in even more in terms of how to use a brand like day to day, this is really where consistency comes in. And this is where your visual brand comes in as well. So in terms of the visuals, disclaimer, I'm not a designer, not going to pretend to be, but working with a designer or a brand photographer, or even a videographer, if you want to record a brand video, working with those people who can help represent your brand visually is going to be really helpful, especially if you have an online business or if you have a product, which I'm assuming you probably are selling it online or you want to be. So
right. Or even if you don't, the outside of the box, right? Or whatever it is. Yes.
Yes. Like, I am such a sucker for good packaging. Anything in frosted glass, it's mine. But these things, when they are used strategically, these visual things or tactile things, it can go a long ways in terms of positioning your brand as however you want it to be positioned, as luxury, as affordable, as unique, as disruptive, whatever it is, the visuals can really help with that. So work with people who can help you bring your brand to life visually. And then utilize the things that they do for you. So if you have XYZ font, use it all the time.
Yes.
Right?
Make
if your
sure
brand
your
colors,
team has it, has access to it, you've got the license, all the things. Yeah.
yes. If your brand colors are this, then your brand colors are this, like use them. Even when it comes to sourcing stock images, stock photography, make sure they're visually and emotionally in alignment with what it is that your brand stands for. Make your email signature your brand colors. Like these little things help with consistency. And the reason that matters is because consistency builds trust.
Yes.
We all know trust, so I'm not going to get into that. But the more consistent you can be, the more you're going to build trust with your audience in terms of this is a business that is legitimate. They know what they're talking about. They are in all of these places in the same way, so I know that it's really them.
Right.
Beyond the visuals, it's also helpful to have a personality. Hopefully your personality or the personality of your business. If your personality sucks, get a new one. That's better.
Well, or don't use all of it, right? We all have
No,
things
it's
about
true.
ourselves that are charming or attractive. Just focus on that.
Yeah, it's a lot of people get caught up with the personality because it's like, well, how, especially when they're building personal brands, because it's like, how much of myself do I share? We want to share the things, we want to share a refined version of your personality, of the things that are relevant to your ideal clients.
Yeah.
But then you get into, after personality, you get more into voice, right? Like, how are we communicating? Communication is such an underrated branding tool. How are we communicating, not just in our social media posts, not just in our newsletters, but also when we're just literally talking to people one-on-one, conversations like this, Zofia, with you. How are we showing up as ourselves or representing the business in the way that we want the business to be represented? And also aligning that with professionalism and legitimacy. So all of these things add up to help form that consistency. And consistency, like I said, builds trust. And it also is what builds your brand, is consistency.
Yes, exactly. Well, and you can't ignore the elephant in the room, right? There are a lot of things out there that purport to help you with your branding or your marketing or your sales pages and that sort of thing. And having played with that a little bit myself, I find you get a much better result when you fed it properly before you ask it to do something for you. So things like voice, and went away from me, the page that has all your colors and your fonts, there's a word for it.
Oh, like the brand identity?
The brand, yeah, like your
Yeah.
brand identity, your mood board for your
Mhm.
brand, so to speak. If you can feed it with that kind of stuff, I think I've found at least you get a better result. Especially if you're a little pressed for cash to hire really good professionals who can do that for you. What's been your experience working with AI? Have you messed with it at all?
You know, I haven't really. I'm concerned about the environmental impact of AI. I don't think we have a good understanding of that. I'm also concerned
Yeah.
with the copyright of AI, especially when it's used for art. I think AI can be a really great tool when it comes to information and data and organizing those things. When I have a problem with it is when we rely on it for creativity, especially when we're experts. Like, I'm sorry, the robot does not know more than you about the thing that you're good at.
Well,
Right?
and this is true. I saw something the other day that AI has an IQ of around 110 to 125, which means I'm still smarter than AI. So
Right, right. I think it can be a good tool when it's used in specific ways. But yeah, when we're relying on it for creativity, for content, for even just pulling out parts of ourselves that we haven't discovered yet. I don't know if I'm saying that in the right way, but we need to know the things first. We need to be clear on the things first. We need the clarity and the confidence and the strategy and the audacity first, and then we can start utilizing the tools. And this goes for AI. It also goes for hiring a virtual assistant. It goes for working
Hiring a
with someone
designer.
like
Yes.
like a copywriter. We need to know the things first, even if we can't articulate them quite yet, because it's that person we hire. It's their job to help us articulate it. I'm sure AI can also help us articulate it too. I'm not sure. I haven't really used it, like I said, but we have to be willing to do the work. I don't think it can be used as a shortcut
Replacement for doing the work.
work.
And I think that kind of sums up what my experience with it has been. If you just go in there and go, AI, I need to know my client avatar, you're going to get, well, garbage in, garbage out, right?
Right.
Whereas if you go in and you go, okay, here's what I know and understand about the situation, here's what I'm trying to achieve, then you get better results back because it has a context. And
exactly.
yeah. So yeah, I like that. I think we're kind of in the same place around that in some ways.
Yeah, I've seen ads like that you can use AI to create a brand for you. And it just drives me crazy because not even I, a brand strategist, can create a brand for you. Like you are an integral part of your brand. You have to bring yourself into it. And also, I don't want people to devalue what they bring in terms of building their brand. Like I said, you're the expert. You have the knowledge, the skills, the education, the experiences. You're the one who's made the observations and created new ideas and philosophies. You're the ones who have developed your own frameworks and methods that are unique to you. All of that stuff is so valuable. So when you rely on something else to get that out of you or to create it like separate from you, it just really does you as the expert a huge disservice.
Yeah, I can see that. But it's also extremely helpful for sorting through masses of data where you haven't seen the pattern yet.
Yes, no, like I said, I think it can be such a great tool for organizing information and data. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So we've got about 5 minutes left. Okay. If someone out there has been listening to this conversation and going, I need some of that, how can they engage with you? What's the baby step in through the door you usually suggest for people?
Yeah, if your listeners are like, okay, I mean, I know I'm an expert. I know that I know what I'm doing, but there's definitely sort of come up against a wall when it comes to explaining it to other people and getting them to see me or my business how I want to be seen. I would love to invite those people to a masterclass that I have. It basically just teaches you the 5 core elements that you need to brand yourself as an expert. I would say this is more relevant to people who are building personal brands or who are service-based, where they want to continue providing their service, but they also want to be recognized for their ideas and their perspectives and opinions just as much as the actual service they're providing. Like I was saying before, really valuing yourself as an expert, right? Because you already are an expert. But when you actively choose to brand yourself as an expert, it means that you are becoming known for one definitive thing, the solution to one precise problem, known for one specific skill set, one particular outcome. And it really just means cohesion, not just for you internally, but also externally.
Well, and it seems like something that would also be beneficial to someone who's recognized the latest trend in career is to have a personal brand, even as an employee, because it allows you to land better jobs, to get better promotional opportunities. So it feels aligned to me to say, even if you're not female founding right now and you're just looking to advance your career, this is probably a worthwhile exercise.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the age of the personal brand, and that comes with a lot of negative connotations and eye rolls, but it's just true. And when we can do it in a genuine way with integrity, I really believe that everyone is better off. So if you want to start attracting the people who really value like the full transformation you're capable of facilitating instead of just coming to you because they want you to do something for them, to perform a service, you will really enjoy that masterclass. And that's just asiadore.com/masterclass, and use code Stilettos for 100% off for your listeners.
Oh, nice. And we will make sure that's in the show notes. So if that buzzed by you, not to worry. It's down there.
We love the show notes.
The show notes are the best. So We've got a minute here at the end. What are your final words of wisdom around the brand?
Strategy and audacity, baby. You need those two things. Your people deserve to have the solution that you can offer. They deserve to have it really easy to understand. They deserve the message that's clear so that they know exactly what they're saying yes or no to. And you deserve the type of business that attracts the right people to you so that you can make the profit that you want to make and also the impact that you want to make. And you need strategy to do that in your brand, but you also need audacity.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate this conversation.
Thanks, Zofia. This has been so fun. It flew by, so I appreciate you.
And thank you to all the listeners out there. Thank you for investing in yourself. I know you've got 100 million ways you could be spending your time, and I appreciate that you have invested in growing your mind, growing your perspective, growing your business, growing your resourcefulness by listening into the show today. And I would love to hear from you. Please take a minute, drop me a line to Zofia, Zofia, at steminstilettos.com. And tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, topics you'd like to see me cover, people you'd like to have on the show, and we will make all of that happen. And until next week, go out, be bold, be beautiful, and be amazingly you.